We're back on Good Morning Artesia, and Scott Pettus joins us. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning.
How are you on this Tuesday morning?
Wonderful, wonderful. Enjoying this cooler weather.
It has been very nice weather. We, of course, we're going to lose our evening sunlight here this weekend.
Such nonsense.
I know. We need to pick one and stick with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of those issues that I think like 99.9% of everybody agrees. Let's just pick one.
Yeah.
Some may want savings, some may want the regular, but everybody says let's pick one and stick with it, and we can't get that passed.
I agree. I recently heard that someone was putting it up at the federal level.
Okay.
To stick with the savings time and just be done with it all across the nation.
Yeah.
I concur.
I think we're ready for that. That's not why you're here.
Side note.
Side note. There's a discussion group that's going to be starting this Sunday in Artesia.
Yep.
I see Concerned Citizens for Artesia. I see the Paideia Christian Academy. Yep. That's the Christian Academy that holds classes at
First Church Artesia.
First Church Artesia. Okay. And so together you're bringing a discussion series called the Miseducation of America.
Yep.
And a dinner and discussion, the current state of education and how we got here. The first one will be this Sunday, November 6th, and it will be every Sunday through this month. Let's just kind of start out with the Miseducation of America. Is this a book? Is this a documentary series? Or?
So it's both.
It's both.
So the Miseducation of America was a 5-part series put together on Fox Nation's streaming service by a gentleman by the name of Pete Hegseth. Pete is a former National Guard officer. He's a Special Forces guy, and he's a Fox personality. He's partnered through his own personal struggle with his own children's education. He started to try to find what is going on with education. Why is, no matter where I go, why does it all look the same? Why is it driven the way it is? And why is it leading us down the road of liberal mindset no matter where you go? And so as he began his research, he partnered with Dr. David Goodwin. Dr. Goodwin is the head of the Association of Classical Christian Schools, and which is the chartering agency for our school here in town. They together put together this 5-part series, which is what we're going to be discussing for the next 5 weeks. We're going to watch each session and then have a discussion, and I'm going to do my best to relate it to the follow-on book, which was written. They gathered so much information that couldn't fit in a TV series, and so they stuck it into a book, and it's called The Battle for the American Mind. I commend this book to anybody and everybody who even has a modicum of concern about our education system across America. And when you look at where we're at, it's the only thing that makes sense as to why we are where we are as a nation. Why do we have colleges full of screaming children, worried about this and that and the other thing, and denying reality? Because the education system since the mid-1800s has been designed to get them to that point. Ignorant people are easy to control.
So it goes back a lot further, right?
So yeah. So most of us think the
60s.
It happened in the 60s when they took prayer out of school. All of a sudden, school was up. But here's the point: the reason they was able to take prayer out of the school is because that generation, the generation before them, were already conditioned to listen to experts on how children should be educated, versus understanding how biblically children should be educated and how children had been educated for centuries upon centuries prior to that. So what we're looking at doing, and one of the things I think I failed last time when I talked about the school is, as a school, our goal is not to teach children what to think. Our goal is to teach them how to think. And we utilize a classical Christian education system. And people go, well, what is that? Well, it's the same education system of our founders. It's how they were educated. And it's why we look back and we read their writings, and they're so profound, they're so deep, they're connected across the ages, all the way back to ancient Greece. Paideia was a Greek concept that was brought forward. And this documentary brought Paideia into the mainstream. Here I was in this little bitty school with this name, and people are like, "You're crazy. I don't understand what that means." But if you come watch the documentary, you're going to understand by the end why we call it Paideia Christian Academy and what we're trying to accomplish there.
Some of the things that probably have been a little bit more, people have been more aware of because it's been discussed recently has been things like critical race theory. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the things that have really started to work their way into education more openly now across the country.
Yeah. So what you'll find with this, and if you read the book, it gets even better. And it's on Audible. 9 hours of listening. Go get it. Listen to it. I know a lot of you guys are out in the oil fields and riding around. You got plenty of time to listen. Listen to it. It will change how you understand the world around you. This is not just a simple, this is about education. This is about the entire worldview of our nation right now. A gentleman by the name of G.K. Chesterton once wrote that education cannot be taught in subjects because education is not a subject. It is a transfer of a culture. It is a transfer of a way of life. And that's what we've lost. The culture and way of life have been shaped by people who do not agree with the Christian faith and haven't for over 150 years. And that's what this book reveals, and this is what this thing reveals. And I just really hope people can come out and listen to it, because it's not just one of our greatest problems right now with everything is we're all really good at pointing out what's wrong.
That's true.
Where's the solution?
Yeah.
And this gives a solution. This talks about a solution and how do we solve the problem. I often talk, I'm involved in a number of community things, and I often talk to people and tell them, we have to fight. I spent 25 years in the military fighting wars, and we have to fight that immediate war that's right in front of us. We got to fight that enemy that's 25 feet in front of me. But my goal is to fight the 500-yard war. I'm fighting for the next generation and my great-grandchildren and what's going to happen in their world, and preparing them and trying to build them up. And so that they're ready to fight, and to fight with strong weapon, Well,
does the series talk about this? Because you mentioned, Rush Limbaugh used to talk about this. There's been a unique American culture, and
right.
It seems like, especially what it means to be an American. And we have this perception that this is what has been taught in our schools. Here's, we say the Pledge of Allegiance. This is what it means to be an American. And it seems like now that what we're doing is we're forcing everybody to check a box. Which box are you in? We're breaking up the American society into these tribal entities. And America, I believe, achieved such great success as it did because we tried to move away from the tribalism and become the American culture. And we're flooding 2 million people in across the border. I mean, Biden's got to get another 2 million in before he's done in 2 years. Are these some of the subjects that are talked about that are influencing education in this series?
I'm going to shock you.
Okay.
What is Americanism, let's call it that.
Yeah.
In this series, you're going to hear it called the American Progressive Paideia. So the Americanism that we all grew up with was specifically designed to remove the Western Christian Paideia from our education system. So when they wanted to take God out of the education system, because understand, all of our education from the founding up till the late 1800s into the early 1900s was run by Christians, and it was specifically a Protestant Christian education. And in an effort to get away from that, they started to instill another idol or another emblem to look at. Prior to the late 1800s, there were no American flags in schools, in front of schools, around schools. And please do not anyone take me, I spent 25 years defending that flag. But I also see that, and I now understand after reading this and hearing this, it was designed to get our minds off of God and to take that tribalism, as you would say, is pull everybody away, pull children away from the faith and the culture of their fathers, which was primarily Christian in this nation, and point them to something that they could all collectively do. Well, that was America, and America became the center. I won't. It's kind of a spoiler alert, if you will, for what you're going to hear in this. And they have the proof, so I'm going to give you the short of it. You ever heard of the Bellamy Pledge? Do you know what the Bellamy Pledge is?
Off the top of my head.
Okay, well, you know it as the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
The Bellamy Pledge was written in 1896 by a guy named Francis Bellamy. And it was the original pledge, slightly different than what ours is, and it missed one phrase. What was that? Under God. It was not included. And from that point in the 1890s, when it was instilled in the public schools, until shortly after World War II, in the 1940s, children stood in classrooms with their hands raised in the Roman salute and said the Bellamy Pledge to the flag. That was to replace the Apostles' Creed within the schools.
So it started, as you said earlier,
It started in the 1880s and into the 1890s. The progressive movement, of course, really took hold under Wilson and FDR, and that was the move, the creating of the standard education system across. And everything we know as the education system was an experiment. It was a progressive experiment in the 1930s or 40s. I'd have to go back to the book and check it. And they designed it specifically for that.
We have about a minute left.
Okay.
This is kind of the discussion that will come following
Absolutely.
the watching of the video series. Pete Hegseth, I think.
Pete Hegseth, yeah.
Hegseth, great writer and commentator, so that ought to be a good starting point. Where will this take place?
1012 North 1st Street, Turner Gaskets. You guys come out. Dinner will be served this week, free dinner this week, and then we'll talk about how to do dinner the following weeks. Maybe everybody chip in a little bit, and we'll make this a dinner and discussion, hang out, really have time to really delve and dig into this material and grow in our knowledge and understanding.
Okay, so it's Sunday, starting at the doors open at 5:30.
Yep.
And then you'll have dinner, and then you'll watch the video.
Yep, at 6.
And then have the discussion following. The Miseducation of America dinner and discussion. And it starts this Sunday, November 6th, 1012 North 1st in Artesia. If anybody has any questions...
Yep, my number's on the bottom of the flyer there, 575-513-2117. Or they can jump on Facebook to Paideia Christian Academy and sign up for the event.
Excellent. Scott, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And hope it's very well attended this month.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot. News is next.
Shower from Town Hall.